For centuries, the chronicle of humanity has unfolded along a seemingly immutable path. Empires have risen and fallen, civilizations have clashed, and the relentless march of discovery has etched an undeniable trajectory across our planet. But what if, at a single pivotal moment, that path diverged? What if the echoes of ancient prophecies met the roar of an engine centuries ahead of its time? Imagine the year 1492. Christopher Columbus, driven by ambition and the tides of a nascent European expansion, approaches the shores of a continent he believes to be Asia. But this time, the New World is not merely pristine, but powerfully defended. What if the indigenous nations of the Americas possessed not just a profound understanding of their land, but access to the most advanced weaponry of a distant future? What if the bows and arrows, the spears and stone axes were instead pulse rifles, stealth aircraft, and impenetrable force fields? How profoundly would that single, impossible alteration rewrite the very bedrock of our history? The very first encounters, etched into our history as moments of curious exchange and eventual domination, would become entirely different spectacles. The fragile European vessels, accustomed to projecting power with rudimentary cannons and muskets, would find themselves utterly outmatched. No longer would the Tainio of Hispaniola greet Columbus with trinkets and wonder, but with a technologically enforced perimeter, backed by defensive systems that rendered his armada obsolete before it ever touched land. The grand ambition of exploration, conquest, and resource extraction would be met not with a primitive resistance to be overcome, but with an insurmountable, technologically superior deterrent. The early colonial ventures, Jamestown, Plymouth, Fort Caroline, would be annihilated or rendered unsustainable. The dreams of resource exploitation, of vast territories ripe for the taking, would shatter against an invisible shield. Without viable bridgeheads, the relentless spread of European settlements across the continent, so central to our established timeline, would simply not occur. The frontier as we know it, a fluid line of ever-encroaching European expansion, would be replaced by an unyielding, technologically fortified border, a declaration of inviolable sovereignty. The very formation of the United States, that sprawling republic born from colonial rebellion, would be stillborn. There would be no declaration of independence against a distant king, for the colonies themselves would be too weak, too embattled, too preoccupied with sheer survival against a far more proximate and formidable power. If any European enclaves persisted, they would exist as heavily fortified trading posts under constant watch, their populations meager, their influence negligible. The Mississippi River would not be a gateway to westward expansion, but a central artery of a powerful, interconnected indigenous confederacy. The Louisiana Purchase? An unimaginable fantasy. Manifest destiny? A tragic delusion. The darker chapters of our history, the Indian Removal Act, the genocidal campaigns, the systematic displacement, would be inverted. Instead of the Trail of Tears, one might envision a trail of retreat, as European populations, finding the continent impenetrable and hostile to their expansionist aims, gradually withdrew or were diplomatically repatriated to their homelands. The wars of conquest that defined centuries of American expansion would simply not happen. There would be no Little Bighorn, no Wounded Knee, for the very concept of an Indian war would be an affront to the overwhelming technological supremacy of the native nations. But access to modern weaponry implies more than just firepower. It implies knowledge, the capacity to maintain, replicate, and even advance such technology would necessitate a profound leap in scientific understanding. We are not imagining a single gift, but a catalyst that ignites an entirely new trajectory of technological evolution within these nations.
The demand for energy to power these advanced systems would propel the indigenous nations into an early, sustainable technological revolution. Geothermal energy, wind farms seamlessly integrated into mountain passes, advanced hydroelectric systems that respect river ecosystems, and perhaps even early forms of fusion or zero-point energy derived from a profound understanding of quantum mechanics would replace the carbon-intensive models of our timeline. Resources would be managed with an ancient reverence for the land, amplified by unparalleled scientific precision. Mining operations would be surgical, recycling systems near perfect, a testament to a technologically advanced society that remains deeply connected to ecological balance.
Absent would be many of the scientific discoveries driven by European expansion and warfare. The pursuit of faster sailing ships, more powerful gunpowder, or advanced navigation for global domination would be rendered moot. Instead, their scientific focus would perhaps lean towards environmental engineering, sustainable resource management, advanced material science, and a deeper understanding of the human body and mind, blending traditional holistic medicine with genomic precision. Genetic engineering might be employed not for enhancement but for ecological restoration and disease prevention, ensuring biodiversity and health. Imagine vast bioreactors inspired by natural microbial processes converting waste into usable energy, or generating synthetic, self-repairing building materials. The strange inventions might be less about conquering nature and more about collaborating with it.
With their territorial integrity secured, the indigenous nations might direct their gaze outwards, not in conquest, but in curiosity. A space race might indeed occur, not as a Cold War proxy, but as a collective endeavor to understand the cosmos, driven by spiritual quest and scientific inquiry. The first footsteps on the moon might belong to an astronaut bearing the symbols of the Great Spirit, contemplating the universe with an ancient reverence. In this alternate reality, the tapestry of daily life, tradition, and culture would be vibrant, unblemished by the traumas of colonization. Indigenous languages, far from being endangered, would thrive, perhaps with one or two regional languages becoming the lingua franca of the continent, spoken and understood globally. Oral traditions, once vulnerable to erasure, would be meticulously preserved and transmitted, perhaps through advanced holographic storytelling or immersive digital archives, allowing future generations to walk through their ancestors' memories. The social structures, rooted in clan systems, confederacies, and communal governance, would adapt and evolve, proving surprisingly resilient and effective in managing technologically advanced societies. Decision-making might involve sophisticated AI algorithms, but always informed by the wisdom of elders and the consensus of the people. This would be a society where individual ambition is balanced by communal responsibility, where innovation serves the collective good and the long-term health of the planet. Art, music, and ceremony, far from being relegated to historical artifacts, would be living, breathing expressions of a dynamic culture. Imagine ancient dances performed with bioluminescent costumes, music amplified by sonic technology, or intricate digital art installations that bring ancestral visions to life, projected onto the very mountains and rivers that inspired them. The global artistic landscape would be profoundly reshaped, drawing inspiration from these vibrant, unbroken traditions. Concepts of beauty, sustainability, and interconnectedness would emanate from the Americas, influencing global aesthetics and philosophies. The fundamental values of stewardship, reciprocity, and a deep reverence for the land and its creatures would not only endure, but would become the guiding principles of a technologically advanced civilization. Daily life would seamlessly integrate cutting-edge technology with ancient wisdom. High-speed travel might connect distant communities, but the sacred pathways and pilgrimage routes would still be respected, perhaps enhanced by advanced environmental monitoring to preserve their sanctity. Food systems would be highly efficient, sustainable, and biodiverse, ensuring abundance without exploitation. The concept of waste might be nearly eliminated, replaced by a circular economy that mirrors nature's own cycles. This would be a society that remembers its past, masters its present, and meticulously plans for its distant future, not in generations, but in centuries. With the Americas as a formidable, technologically advanced power bloc, the entire geopolitical landscape of the world would be fundamentally reshaped. There would be no European global hegemony, no vast colonial empires built on the extraction of resources from the New World. European nations, deprived of the immense wealth that fueled their industrial revolutions and centuries of global dominance, would remain smaller, perhaps perpetually embroiled in internal conflicts over scarce resources, or forced to develop entirely different, more insular economies. Global power would reside, not in London or Paris, but in the heart of the Americas, in the vibrant, high-tech capitals of the indigenous nations. A pan-continental confederacy, perhaps known as the Great Spirit Alliance, would emerge as the dominant global force, dictating terms of trade, establishing environmental policies, and arbitrating international disputes. Alliances might form with powerful Asian empires or resilient African kingdoms, creating a truly multipolar world, one where the narratives of conquest and submission are replaced by complex systems of balanced diplomacy and mutual respect, or where the overwhelming technological advantage of the Americas simply ensures a peaceful, albeit dominant, status quo. The global economy would be dictated by the Americas, rich in natural resources, but also in advanced technology and a philosophy of sustainable management. They would control access to vital materials and advanced energy solutions, ensuring that global markets operate on terms that prioritize ecological integrity and equitable distribution rather than unchecked exploitation. Conflicts would be rare, for who would dare challenge a power capable of projecting overwhelming force with minimal effort? If conflicts did arise, they would be swift, precise, and strategically contained, a demonstration of deterrent rather than annihilation. The idea of colonization in reverse would be anathema to the deeply ingrained values of stewardship and non-aggression, but their influence would be inescapable. In this altered timeline, many of the figures we recognize from our history books would never achieve prominence. There would be no George Washington leading a revolution that never occurred, no Thomas Jefferson drafting a constitution for a nation that never formed. Their ambitions would be confined to a vastly diminished European sphere, or they would be footnotes in the history of a struggling coastal enclave. Instead, new legends would rise. Visionary chiefs and chieftesses, blending ancestral wisdom with technological prowess, would guide their nations through this unprecedented era. Imagine a descendant of Tecumseh, not leading warriors with muskets, but uniting the Eastern nations into a formidable confederacy with advanced communication networks and automated defense systems. Or a brilliant strategist, a descendant of Crazy Horse or Sitting Bull, who, instead of facing cavalry, commands fleets of stealth aircraft and drone swarms, ensuring the inviolability of the Great Plains. Indigenous scientists, engineers, and philosophers would be the luminaries of this age. A Navajo astrophysicist mapping distant galaxies from observatories built into sacred mesas. A Haudenosaunee bioengineer developing new forms of regenerative medicine, drawing on both ancient herbal lore and cutting-edge genetic science. A Dene architect designing self-sustaining, vertical cities that blend seamlessly into the desert landscape. These figures would not merely be leaders of their people, but globally recognized pioneers, their names etched into the annals of a new world history. Sacagawea, far from being a mere guide, might be a pivotal diplomat, mediating complex relations between the advanced indigenous nations and the struggling European enclaves. Her linguistic skills and cultural understanding amplified by advanced translation technologies. Her role would be one of sophisticated diplomacy, not mere assistance. The figures that would resonate through the ages would be those who demonstrated the profound capacity for human innovation, not in conquest, but in harmonious coexistence with both nature and advanced technology. The true heroes would be those who preserved culture, fostered peace through strength, and guided humanity towards a future of genuine sustainability and interconnectedness. This journey into a hypothetical past, this vision of a world where ancient wisdom met futuristic power, offers a profound reflection. It is a world where the land, revered as sacred, is not a commodity to be exploited, but a partner in a grand technological evolution. A world where cultures, far from being suppressed, flourish and define the very fabric of global civilization. The question of what if Native American tribes had access to modern weapons during colonization is not merely an exercise in fantastical history. It is a powerful lens through which to examine the pivotal role of technology, geography, and cultural values in shaping human destiny. It reminds us that history is not a foregone conclusion, but a delicate, intricate dance of choices and circumstances. In our reality, the narrative unfolded differently, marked by loss and conquest. But in this imagined world, a continent would stand as a testament to resilience, innovation, and a profound, unbroken connection to the land. It is a world that whispers a different possibility, a silent testament to the enduring power of a culture, given the means to truly protect its heart and soul. What if, indeed? What if the path of human civilization, from its very inception, had been guided by a different hand, a different wisdom, a different set of priorities? The answer lies not just in the past, but in the echoes of what could have been, shaping our understanding of what might still be.